Welcome to Georgia Tech Spring Commencement. Guests, please cheer for your graduates. Students, please rise for the faculty processional.
Good afternoon and welcome. Buenas tardes, bienvenidos. Please rise and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. Please be seated. My name is Angel Cabrera, and I have the privilege of serving as Georgia Tech's president. Before we get started today, I would like for us to take a moment to recognize all veterans, active duty members, and first responders who are with us today. So if you have served in any branch of the U.S. military or have served as a first responder, please rise so we can recognize you. Thank you. Now, graduates, members of the faculty and staff, distinguished guests, families, and friends, my heart is full as I welcome you to the 268th commencement exercises at the Georgia Institute of Technology. It is a true pleasure to be together in celebration of these graduates and their academic achievements. We have a few special messages for you today. The first one is from one of our graduating students. And I'm pleased to introduce Anamik Junjunwala, a Ph.D. candidate in biomedical engineering who will give the reflection. And I welcome him and his family who's here from India. Welcome to Georgia Tech.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow graduates, faculty, families, and friends. Today, I would like to reflect on what it takes to earn a PhD at Georgia Tech and what it genuinely signifies. So what does it take? Is it purely about being intelligent? Not really. Being smart helps, but it's hardly everything. Is it passion, commitment, drive? Perhaps partially, but these virtues do not capture the essence of what a PhD really takes. What I believe is that it takes resilience, the persistent strength to endure countless failures, yet keep driving on, the courage to pursue questions no one has fully understood, and the patience to go on through years of uncertainty. Earning a PhD is not the same as earning an undergraduate or a master's degree, where the knowledge is clearly defined and must simply be mastered. The PhD path is fundamentally different. It's uncertain, extremely messy. Initially, we travel with our guides, our advisors, mentors, fellow researchers, and they take us to the precipice, the edge of known human knowledge. And eventually, we reach that threshold, beyond which no map exists. From here, we must travel forward alone, forging new paths without any directions or assurances. The PhD journey is not about following established paths. It is about courageously charting new territories. And when something finally works, do we pause and savor that accomplishment? Rarely. Our next task is even more daunting, ensuring it works again, documenting all our steps, essentially annotating that map so that others can follow it easily. So as we push forward, plotting new knowledge, we look ahead of us and behind us. Behind us, we see others navigating seamlessly using the maps we have drawn meticulously. But when we look ahead, we see the vast, vast unknown stretching ahead of us. And you know, the pride in realizing others can use our maps, that's not the true essence. Our deepest realization is the humility in recognizing how much remains undiscovered and determination to journey deeper into that unknown. This journey can be tough, lonely, challenging, even isolating. But speaking to my fellow graduates here today, I want you to realize throughout all of these trials, we have gained something invaluable. We've created a legacy. Pushing forward despite repeated failures, we've learned resilience. Realizing how much more there is to discover, we've learned humility. And although there's an infinite amount left to explore, remember this: you once stood upon the shoulders of giants who carried you to the edge of known knowledge. And as you sit here today on the frontier, each and every one of you has become a giant yourself. Someday soon, new explorers will come to you. You will carry them to the frontiers on your shoulders, into the unknown, into the future itself. So as we step forward today, let's honor Georgia Tech's enduring spirit, craft new maps, and boldly shape the world that awaits us. Congratulations, Georgia Tech PhD class of 2025. Here's to the endless new frontiers we'll explore together.
Thank you, Anamik. Graduates, today you will be joining the impressive family of Georgia Tech alumni, a community of leaders, innovators, thinkers, and doers who are making a difference across our state and around the world. Many of them are here today to celebrate you and what you've accomplished. Our alumni appreciate your accomplishments perhaps more than anyone. They may even be part of the reason why you're here today. To all our alumni joining us, please stand so we can recognize you as well. Love it. So repeat customers. It's awesome. Now, to welcome you formally into the Fellowship of Georgia Tech Alumni, I'm pleased to introduce Dean Sheehan, a management graduate from the class of 1991 and the president of the Georgia Tech Alumni Association. Dean? Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, President Cabrera. As a fellow Yellow Jacket, it gives me great pride to say to each of you, graduates, you now are members of one of the most powerful and coveted networks in the world, the Georgia Tech Alumni Association. You are now alumni among more than 200,000 of your closest family members. I recently heard someone say to me, the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. I heard that and I thought, that sounds like a Georgia Tech graduate to me. It really does. And I think of the hard work that went into earning your degree, a degree that is highly regarded across the globe. And that degree is now yours. And I share in your pride of that accomplishment. We as Yellow Jackets are unique as individuals, but we also share some traits from our time at Tech. We share the ability to problem find, problem solve, and persevere. I know you've all had to do that. When we work together to take on life's biggest challenges, we can. When we set out together to change the world, we will. And when we join together to make a difference, we do. And one of the biggest ways you can make a difference is through roll call. For 78 years, that fund for excellence that is roll call has positively impacted current and future students. And you may notice some graduates are wearing a roll call pin on their regalia. I want to say thank you. Those students have already given to roll call, and that is supporting students who are coming behind you, as well as the Transforming Tomorrow campaign. We thank you for that. But what else do we share as a community? It's just that, community. We share a Yellow Jacket community together. No matter where you go, you will find other Yellow Jackets along the way who are ready to open doors for you. And the only thing more powerful to me than your degree are the relationships that you develop that you'll take with you from here. We encourage you to get involved in the Alumni Association. We want to be that front door back to Georgia Tech for each of you for always. We'll provide you with job leads, networking opportunities, events back here on campus, as well as in your local communities, no matter where you go across the globe. Last Thursday night, we had an event at 80 locations around the entire globe. And so wherever you are, we'll be there for you. And also to develop future friendships with Yellow Jackets you'll meet wherever you go. So just know Georgia Tech will always be your home, and your Alumni Association is with you for a lifetime. Welcome to the family, and go Jackets!
Thank you, Dean. So this weekend, we celebrate 6,600 graduates from the Georgia Tech class of 2025. We're awarding over 3,100 bachelor's degrees, over 3,300 master's degrees, and 225 doctoral degrees to graduates from this spring semester. These doctoral candidates that we honor today represent 31 countries and a multitude of disciplines. Just think about it. Together, the talent that is gathered here, they know how to build satellites and robots, bridges, medical devices. They can create and run businesses. They can help shape better policy. They're versed in chemistry and biology and psychology. They can mine intelligence from complex data. They understand how markets work, how government works, what our collective history teaches us about our future. They come from all over the world. They have traveled the world. They can communicate in dozens of languages. They have learned to listen to others, to respect what others have to say, even when they disagree. They have learned to work with and learn from people who are different from themselves. They're confident, capable, creative problem solvers. They have learned the power of collaboration. They have been empowered to lead. They make me extremely hopeful about the future. But for all of this potential to make a difference, there is something I want all of you to remember, and that's the two words on our seal: progress and service. Seal, which I think is right there, for you to remember: progress and service. Now, these two words define us as a community and signify our belief in the power of innovation, of ingenuity to serve a greater purpose, to improve the human condition. We don't believe in technology for its own sake, but because of its potential to help people live better lives. Some of you are going to academia or research labs. Some of you will join well-established companies. Some of you, increasingly, more of you will create your own startups. Some will go into government. I know whatever you do, you will be successful. But remember, your true success will not measure by how much money you will make, but by the value that you create for others. Now, don't get me wrong. Money you will make. Some of you, a lot of it. And when you're rich and famous, Dean and I will find you. And we'll remind you where you went to school. We have actually a beautiful building that is screaming for your name on it. So, but seriously, at the end of the journeys, what will make you proud, what will make your family, all of us proud, is what you did to lift others up and to make a difference in our world. No pressure, as we like to say around here. We can do that. I know you are ready to tackle any challenge that might come your way. Now, today we celebrate you, your accomplishments, your potential, and I'd like to thank you in advance for the great things that I know you will go on to do. Now, joining us here in person and online are family members, friends, and colleagues whose love and support have helped make this day possible. These yellow jackets know perfectly well that they would not be here if it weren't for you, and for that we thank each and every one of you. Thank you for your support. I also want to thank the faculty and staff members who have guided and mentored the students, offering time, wisdom, expertise to help our graduates reach their fullest potential. Will members of our faculty and staff please stand so we can recognize you for the great work you've done. Thank you. Now I'm honored to introduce some members of our leadership team who are joining me here on the platform. Please hold your applause as they stand when I call their names. We have Larry Jacobs, Senior Vice Provost for Education and Learning. Some of you don't know how to follow direction. It's okay, just follow your heart. Michelle Reinhardt, Vice Provost for Faculty. Bonnie Ferry, Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Faculty Development. Joy Olabisi, Assistant Vice Provost for Graduate Education. Steve Harmon, Associate Dean, Professional Education. Vivek Sarkar, our Dean of the College of Computing. Srinivas Alru, Senior Associate Dean, College of Computing. Mustafa Amar, Regents Professor, College of Computing. Aaron Levine, Associate Dean, Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts. Alexander Lurch, Associate Dean, College of Design. Suman Ghosh, Senior Associate Dean, Scheller College of Business. Yung-Hui Chang, Associate Dean, College of Sciences. Rahim Bia, Dean of Engineering. Hang Lu, Associate Dean of Engineering. Dimitri Mavris, Regent Professor, College of Engineering. I need to pause here. And make an exception to my rule about the applause. Dimitri Mavris today, where is Dimitri? Come here with me for a second. No, this is very important. Today, when his students, plural, walk through here, we will honor the 300th PhD that Dimitri has graduated. 300. Thank you, my friend. Wow. Talk about a legacy. I mean, there are whole departments in universities that haven't graduated anyway. Amazing. As we were doing before this interruption, Leslie Sharp, Dean of Libraries, Lolo Hong, Vice President of Student Engagement and Wellbeing, Abigail Tumpy, Vice President of Institute Communications, Jeremy Gray, Interim Registrar, and our mace bearer today, Willie Pearson, Regents Professor in the School of History and Sociology, and this year's class of 1934 Distinguished Professor, which is the highest award that a faculty member at Georgia Tech can receive. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. So I know some of you may not believe it, but we are all fully aware of how hard we have made you work to cross this stage. We understand the obstacles that you overcame these past few years and congratulate you for crossing the finish line. I've played several different roles at Georgia Tech over the years. I've been a student, an alum, a parent, an advisor, now president. I even found my spouse here, Beth. So I know very well that being a yellow jacket is something extraordinarily special. A Georgia Tech diploma is something you will treasure, as you heard from Dean, for the rest of your life. It will be transformative. It was for me. And like so many other doctoral students through the generations, I can proudly say that nothing that I have accomplished in my career would have been possible without the opportunities I had at Georgia Tech and without the people that I met here. And now it is your turn. You are forever connected to this great institution, and we cannot wait to see the great things you will continue to do. It's time to look ahead, to push forward, to go out and make an impact on the world like only yellow jackets can. Congratulations, class of 2025. And now, for your last Georgia Tech lecture, at least for the time being, I have brought you a treat. It is a great pleasure to present our speaker, Mark Becker. Mark is the president of the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. This is the preeminent organization of nearly 250 public research universities across North America. These are the biggest, most prominent universities in our country. Prior to APLU, Mark served for nearly 13 years as president of our sister institution down the street, Georgia State University, where he was widely recognized for transforming the institution into a national model for student success. With a background in public health and statistics, Mark brings a data-informed approach to higher education leadership. He's a vocal advocate for expanding access, promoting innovation, and strengthening the role of public universities in advancing societal well-being. He was at Georgia State when I was appointed at Georgia Tech. I had known him before I came here because he's very, very well known in American higher education. He's done some absolutely nationally recognized things at Georgia State in the field of student success. And when I arrived, he was sort of like a big brother to me. He tried to keep me out of trouble and succeeded sometimes. It was impossible, he said. I heard you say that. Anyway, it is a true honor and pleasure to introduce you to a man who has done it all in American Public University, my dear friend, Dr. Mark Becker.
Congratulations to the 2025 class of Georgia Tech PhD graduates. Tonight, you join the 1% of adults in the world who hold the PhD. Furthermore, you are graduating from one of the foremost research universities in the world, the Georgia Institute of Technology. And whether or not you are a hell of an engineer, you should be damn proud of your achievement. Tonight, I am excited for you, not only because you are graduating with your PhD from Tech, but also because of what the future holds for you. You are completing one chapter in your life story, and you're about to begin a new one. Your next chapter matters a lot, and yet there are going to be seemingly random, or at least unexpected events that are also going to be pivotal in writing future chapters in your life story. And there are going to be a few people who are going to open doors for you, metaphorically speaking, that will go on to have an outsized impact in those chapters. Those random or unexpected events and the people who will open the doors are the focus of my comments here tonight. Your possibilities are infinite, and each of you will write the story of your life based on the opportunities you encounter and the decisions that you make. Some of those opportunities will be obviously important, like a career or job change. Yet there are going to be a few, and I'll say small opportunities. They're going to seem inconsequential at the time, and yet they're going to completely alter your future. And it is in those small moments that you will show your true character, your talents, or some other traits that set you apart, in addition to being a yellow jacket, and create new opportunities that you do not anticipate. I'm old. I started graduate school 45 years ago with a singular goal. I wanted one thing. I wanted to be a professor. The idea of getting paid to think for a living sounded like a great gig to me. I wanted to use the tools of mathematics, probability theory, and statistics to do research and to contribute to making the world a better place. So I went straight from graduate school into academia, and in 1989, most of you weren't born yet, I accepted a tenure-track faculty position in biostatistics at the University of Michigan. I was on the path to fulfilling my dream, to achieving my goal, and I presumed at that time I would be a professor at Michigan until the day I retired. Boy, was I wrong. My thesis advisor had told me that the keys to success as a professor would be to publish in top peer-reviewed journals and to secure grant funding to support my research program. That should sound familiar to some of you here tonight. He would later advise me to avoid or shirk committee assignments and stay focused on my research. We'll come back to that piece of advice in a minute. I published my research, got it funded by the National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, and in due course, I was promoted to full professor with tenure at the University of Michigan. I had success. I got what I wanted, and I was all set for a long career as a professor. So where was I wrong? What changed? Think back to small moments and people you don't know are going to open doors. Roughly 5 years into my time at Michigan, my faculty colleagues in biostatistics asked me to serve on our School of Public Health Executive Committee. Their argument was really simple. You're the most senior member of the department who hasn't done it yet, so it's your turn. So I did try to figure out what this meant, so I looked at the University of Michigan bylaws, and they were very clear. Every school and college within the university must have an executive committee, and it was otherwise non-specific on what that committee would do, other than provide advice to the dean. This seemed like an easy enough assignment, no real responsibility, other than to attend a few meetings. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Well, instead, remember, my thesis advisor told me to avoid committee work. My service on that committee led to the end of my career as a professor and started me down a path I had never imagined for myself. And I only remember one meeting from my time on that committee. And that one stands out because I made a seemingly inconsequential remark related to a controversy that were embroiling parts of our school at that time. And that seemingly consequential remark ultimately changed the trajectory of my career. Without realizing it, a few words uttered respectfully in objection to a decision by the interim dean caught the attention of one of those people who would have an outsized impact on my career. Up to that point, the people who had shaped my career are the people I knew very well, like my thesis advisor. However, on that fateful day, Sherman James, Distinguished Professor of Epidemiology and Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, who I did not know well, took notice that I spoke and of what I had to say. He would go on to open the door that would end the last chapter of my career as a full-time faculty member, and he mentored me as I transitioned to my next chapter. I ultimately went on to become a dean, provost, and then president of Georgia State University, just down the street from here. And when I was asked to consider the presidency at Georgia State, I had never heard of it before. I didn't know anybody there, had never met anybody from there, didn't know a thing. But I quickly figured out that there was an opportunity to do something different and important at Georgia State. By the 10th year of my presidency, Georgia State was garnering more national press than just about any other university in the world, because we had developed a model for graduating students who had historically dropped out of college before completing. The book, Won't Lose This Dream, How an Upstart Urban University Changed the Rules of a Broken System, tells that story. And it's immensely gratifying to know that there are many tens of thousands of graduates instead of college dropouts in the world, because that work has literally gone around the globe because of what we did. And that may never have happened if not for Sherman James. However, and this is the kicker, it wasn't just that moment in a committee meeting in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it wasn't just Sherman James. Before that day, when Sherman saw something in me that led him to giving me a hand up, and since that day, there have been many other small decisions that have led to unanticipated opportunities. And there have been other people who have stepped into my life unexpectedly and opened doors. We make decisions all the time, and we cannot know which ones will have outsized consequences. So what can we do? Well, what has worked for me is to try to be my best self in every moment and to try to treat everyone I meet with respect and dignity. You do those two things, be your best self in every moment, treat everyone you meet with respect and dignity, and I promise you that you will be rewarded with unanticipated opportunities on your own amazing journeys. You will do big things, and you will do your part to make this world a better place. So in conclusion, while your work will be important, also cherish the people who will be on your journey. Appreciate now and forever your thesis advisor and the family and friends who have gotten you to this day. And be ready for new people like Sherman James to enter your life and lift you up. You do not have to go looking for them. They will find you. Best wishes and Godspeed.
Thank you, Mark. And I thought the conclusion was going to be careful what you say during your first committee meeting you attend, because that was really great, very thoughtful. Thank you so much. All right, now, as you can see, we're coming to the time you've been waiting for, the hooding and the conferring of your degree. Walking across the stage and receiving your hood represents the culmination of a great deal of hard work and an incredible achievement for each of our graduates. I ask that after you receive your recognition on stage, you return to your seat for two reasons. It's very important. You don't leave the building, you go back to your seat, A is I want you to show your fellow graduates the same respect that they showed you. Second, when we're done with the processing, I will pronounce some important words that will make your degree official if you're not in this room. When those words are pronounced, I cannot guarantee what will happen to your degree, okay? So now I am delighted to welcome Provost Steve McLaughlin, who will present the candidates for doctoral degrees for the last time in his distinguished career at Georgia Tech before he moves on to become president of an amazing institution in New York. Will be dearly missed, my friend.
Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Let's go. Thank you, President Cabrera. Candidates for doctoral degrees, please rise and remain standing. That's you all. President Cabrera, I have the honor of presenting to you those candidates for doctoral degrees who have completed the requirements for these degrees.
Dr. Anamik Junjunwala, advised by Stanislav Yemilianov. Dr. Hejun Han, advised by Hang Lu. Dr. Lucinda Mindy Peng, advised by Hang Lu. Dr. Sharjil Mahmood Khan, advised by Santosh Pandey. Dr. Jingyuan Zhang, advised by Douglas M. Blau. Dr. Harshavardhan Murali, advised by Philip First. Dr. Ethan Siddhartha Wold, advised by Simon Sponberg. Dr. Leo Wood. Dr. Le Tian Chen, advised by Professor Matthew Gombolet. Dr. Yi Tsung Fu, advised by Graham J. Kennedy. Dr. Raymond Robert Copeland, advised by Peter Yunker. Dr. Haruko Tateyama, advised by Henry LaPierre. Dr. Caitlin Sue Engel, advised by Henry S. LaPierre. Dr. Jack Hunter Kolb, advised by Karen Fye. Dr. Carmen Tiemann, advised by Samuel Coogan. Dr. Melissa Andrea Cadena, advised by Stephen Sloan and Vahid Serpushan. Dr. Miguel Antonio Armenta Ochoa, advised by Krishnendu Roy. Dr. Harshit Daga, advised by Ada Gavrilovska. Dr. James Chancholas, advised by Ada Gavrilovska. Dr. Jyotsna Ramachandran, advised by Satish Kumar. Dr. Isaac Emmanuel Robinson, advised by Adam Marcus. Dr. Dickens Kakitahi Kwesiga, advised by Michael Hunter and Gin Angshuman. Dr. Claire Elise Elbon, advised by Jennifer Glass. Dr. Alexandria Ray Van Grau, advised by Facundo Fernandez. Dr. Haley Selsey, advised by Raquel Lieberman. Dr. David Jimmy Lin, advised by Omer T. Inan. Dr. John Allen Berkebile, advised by Omer Inan. Dr. Jesus Antonio Sanchez Perez, advised by Omer Inan. Dr. Luis Gabriel Rosa, advised by Gregory Sawicki and Omer Inan. Dr. Christopher James Nichols, advised by Omer T. Inan. Dr. Rawad El-Kantar, advised by Tarek Raka. Dr. Tarek Ahmed Sharif. Dr. Piyush Kumar, advised by Azad Naimi. Dr. Ravish Garg, advised by Tushar Krishna and Michael Pellauer. Dr. Jamie Lynn Salinger, advised by Krista Walton. Dr. Matthew W. Rapaski Jr., advised by Yao Xie. Dr. Jie Wang, advised by Yao Xie. Dr. Chen Shu, advised by Yao Xie. Dr. Haoruo Zhao, advised by Pascal Van Hentenryck. Dr. Gabriel James Barrett, advised by Matthew Thomas Hale.
Dr. Frederick Chung, advised by Babek Ashuri.
Dr. Jessica Shinwei Lin, advised by Wilbur Lamb. Dr. Abir Abdul Rahman Al-Sagaf, advised by Ali Adibi. Dr. Michael A. Herman, advised by Dimitri Mavris. Dr. Sidney Popsy, advised by Alberto Stolfi. Dr. Egon Lua, advised by Christina Shalley, Terry Blum, and Katie Bedora. Dr. Charles Austin Irons, advised by Robbie Moon. Dr. Sarah Hope Roney, advised by Mark Weisberg. Dr. Ming-Kyung Cha, advised by Daniel Matisoff. Dr. Quentin Kreth, advised by Juan Rogers. Dr. Alexander Watson Cook, advised by Harold Kim. Dr. Andrew William Marsh, advised by Ellen Yi Chen Mazumdar. Dr. Xian Yu Mao, advised by Mukhopadhyay Saibal. Dr. Bishodeep Chakraborty, advised by Shoibal Mukhopadhyay. Dr. Shida Zhang, advised by Saibal Mukhopadhyay.
Dr. Sergio Pelaz, advised by Diana Hicks.
Dr. Diego Leonardo Peña Colayoco, advised by Visvesh Sate. Dr. Rakshit Saligram, advised by Arijit Raychaudhuri. Dr. Alaric Christophe Gregoire, advised by Brian Gunter. Dr. Steph Peter Crum, advised by Dr. Brian Gunter. Dr. Christopher Richardson, advised by Larry Heck. Dr. Anirudh Sundar, advised by Larry Heck. Dr. Pooja Kasula, advised by Richmond Y. Wong. Dr. Evan Ashvin Raghuwanshi, advised by Srinivas Garimella. Dr. Chao Jian Lee, advised by Yingyan Celine Lin. Dr. Yonggan Fu, advised by Yingyan Celine Lin. Dr. Zhongzhi Yu, advised by Yingyan Celine Lin. Dr. Yong-An Zhang, advised by Celine Lin. Dr. Xiaoran Yo, advised by Yingyan Celine Lin. Dr. Shuting Lin, advised by Peng Chiu. Dr. Ling Kai Kong, advised by Chao Zhang. Dr. Rongzhi Zhang, advised by Chao Zhang. Dr. Jiaming Cui, advised by B. Aditya Prakash. Dr. Trent Schreiber, advised by Yang Wang. Dr. Zachary Dean Hurdy, advised by Corey Wilson. Dr. Jessica Lynn Dixon, advised by Marcus T. Cicerone. Dr. Andrew Max Wu, advised by Zeb Rocklin. Dr. Renzo Sebastián Cornejo Tejada, advised by Jorge Macedo. Dr. Paula Vargas, advised by Iris Tien. Dr. Cody Allen Arnold, advised by Jorge Macedo. Dr. Edgar Aldama, advised by Zijian Zhang. Dr. Qingge Xie,
Advised by Frank Lee.
Dr. Annie Zhou, advised by Rahim Baya. Dr. Ryan Gregory Pickren, advised by Rahim Baya and Saman Zonuz. Dr. Ujani Hajra, advised by Joseph LaChance. Dr. Shantao Yu, advised by Mohanad Bakir and Thomas Gaylord. Dr. Kia Madani, advised by Ajit Rohatgi. Dr. Bo Chin Dang, advised by Fanish Suryanarayana. Dr. Marco Avendano, advised by Matthew Rilf and Sankar Nair. Dr. Amber Nicole Brooks, advised by Jennifer Singh. Dr. Tian Xi, advised by Xiaolan Li. Dr. Caroline Elizabeth Serafini, advised by Francisco Robles. Dr. Corey Douglas Brummel Smith, advised by John Wise. Dr. Snigdha Setharam, advised by John Wise. Dr. Eliana Crowder Melnick, advised by Dragomir Davidovich. Dr. David Allen Ponce Grimm, advised by Richard Catrambone and Jamie Gorman. Dr. Ruo Lin Su, advised by Bing Huang Zhuang. Dr. Amar Asghar, advised by Tae-Soo Kim. Dr. Kennedy Alexander Lee, advised by John Barry. Dr. Chao Wen Chang, advised by Ryan P. Lively and David S. Scholl. Dr. Shubham Kailas Jamdade, advised by David S. Scholl and Christopher W. Jones. Dr. Drumil Rajendra Shah, advised by Christopher Jones. Dr. Yosef Amare Gutta, advised by Christopher W. Jones and Karsten Sievers. Dr. Ji Yin, advised by Panayotis Tsiotras. Dr. Travis Pierce Driver, advised by Panagiotis Tsiotras. Dr. Joshua Yuriv Pilipovsky, advised by Panagiotis Tsiotras. Dr. Michael Omid Buzzy, advised by Surya Kalidindi. Dr. Manuel Fernandez V, advised by Galina V. Leifschitz. Dr. Hang Wu, advised by Mei Dongmei Wang. Dr. Naoki Yokoyama, advised by Sehun Ha and Dhruv Batra. Dr. Haoqian Zhou, advised by Haijiang Li. Dr. Chun-Ting Liu,
advised by Olga Shimakanina.
Dr. Madeline Page Garel, advised by Marta Hatzel. Dr. Jemin Park, advised by Andreas S. Bomarias, Karsten Sievers, and Marta Hatzel. Dr. Elisabeth Aglu, advised by Dr. Fani Bukovala. Dr. Erin Victoria Phillips, advised by Dr. Karsten Sievers and Dr. Marta Hatzel. Dr. Mona Amri Hesari, advised by Dr. Blair Bretman. Dr. Jae-hyun Cho, advised by Blair Bretman. Dr. Ruobing Han, advised by Hyesun Kim. Dr. Andre Bursati, advised by Professor Hyesun Kim.
Dr. Nan Jiang, advised by Weijun Ji.
Dr. Yiming Jiang, advised by He Wang. Dr. Shangkun Wang, advised by Roshan Joseph. Dr. Tianyi Zhou, advised by Xiaoming Huo. Dr. Cameron Taylor, advised by Konstantin Davrolis. Dr. Chihang Yao, advised by Konstantin Davrolis. Dr. Burak Gurbus, advised by Konstantin Davrolis. Dr. Huizong Yang, advised by Anthony Joseph Yezi. Dr. Roderick Gray, Jr., advised by Morris B. Cohen, Lucas Graber, and Rahim Bea. Dr. Ladarius Montel Thomas, advised by Valerie Thomas and Daniel Molzon. Dr. Joseph Stevenson Dick, advised by Chris Wong. Dr. An Tai, advised by Jim Regg and Judy Hoffman.
Dr. Upal Asan, advised by Dr. Mark Riddell.
Dr. Yunji Lee, advised by Eric Schumacher. Dr. Sakshi Dhawan, advised by Eric Schumacher. Dr. Shreyas Srivatsan, advised by Jürgen Raulider. Dr. Abraham Oluwaseun Ate, advised by Jürgen Rauletter. Dr. Shreyas Gopalaratnam Ashok, advised by Jürgen Raulitter. Dr. Juliet F. Swinney, advised by Lauren K. Stewart. Dr. Mo Jarin, advised by Xing Xie. Dr. Elliot Mark Stewart Reed, advised by Yongsheng Chen and Qinghua Huang. Dr. Xiaoyu Xin, advised by Qinghua Huang. Dr. Ryan Salame, advised by Yichang James Tsai. Dr. Josiah Christian Rudge, advised by Anirudh Sarkar. Dr. Kandkar Akif Abrar, advised by Suman Datta. Dr. Hee-Chan Lee, advised by Shaheen Duji. Dr. Nike Artemis Kafazakis, advised by Dan Kolyar. Dr. Michaela Mancini, advised by John A. Christian. Dr. Liana Hatum, advised by Manu Platt and Edward Botchway. Dr. Kaysen Nicholas Butler, advised by Mark Costello. Dr. Hye-Wan Kang, advised by Un-Hong Ye. Dr. Maria Satar, advised by Woon-Hang Yo. Dr. Chrysula Lydia Pastra, advised by Dimitri Mavris. Dr. Hayden Valerie Dean, advised by Dimitri Mavris. Dr. Ezgi Balkas,
advised by Dimitri Mavris.
Dr. Adam Thomas Baker, advised by Dimitri Mavris. Dr. Bogdan Paul Dorka, advised by Dr. Dimitri Mavris. Dr. Catherine Hao Win, advised by Shuichi Takayama. Dr. Vishwa Vasani. Dr. Stefano Travaglino, advised by Tang Ju. Dr. Kara Matz. Dr. Reem Al-Asmar, advised by Rodney J. Weber and Greg Huey. Dr. Stefan Strassel Rojas, advised by Brooks Lindsay. Dr. Fei Yang Jin, advised by Vivek Sarkar. Dr. Proshat Medizad, advised by S. Mostafa Ghiassian. Dr. Chao Jiang, advised by Wei Shu. Dr. Mary Catherine Adams, advised by Valeria Milam. Dr. Jordan Daniel Kocher, advised by Shannon Yee and Akanksha Menon. Dr. Joshua Matthew Reinhardt, advised by John R. Reynolds and Shannon K. Yee. Dr. Asif Rashid, advised by Shreyas Melkot. Dr. Qingru Zhang, advised by Tuo Zhao. Dr. Haiga Chen, advised by Ashutosh Dekne and Raghupathy Sivakumar. Dr. Alan Gerald Burl, advised by Christopher Saldana. Dr. Bichuan Mo, advised by Vigor Yang. Dr. Michael Thomas Hoff, advised by Stephen Ralph. Dr. Ming-Shun Wang, advised by Sudhir Chava. Dr. Oluwaseyi Ife Akinwande, advised by Professor Madhavan Swaminathan and Professor Shimeng Yu. Dr. Harrison Paul Lee, advised by John Kressler. Dr. Nelson E. Sepulveda Ramos, advised by John D. Kressler. Dr. Wonsup Lim, advised by John D. Kressler. Dr. Shruti K. Hiramat, advised by Thomas Plotz. Dr. Brooke Elizabeth Hayden, advised by Douglas Williams and William Melvin. Dr. Zhang Yang, advised by Wenqi Li and Brendan Saltaformaggio. Dr. Austin Peter Wright, advised by Duen Hoang Polo Chow. Dr. M.D. Abdur Rahman. Dr. Ling Wong, advised by Annalise B. Pabi. Dr. Catherine Arlene McGilvery, advised by Brian Hammer and William Ratcliffe. Dr. Nancy Joanna Deaton, advised by Jadev Desai. Dr. Aishwarya Balwani, advised by Hannah Choi and Christopher Roselle. Dr. Sushri Jagrati Sahu, advised by Andrew James Medford. Dr. Amy Joy Wood Young, advised by Mark Prausnitz. Dr. Giovanni Calixt, advised by Robert Butera. Dr. Nathaniel Jeffrey Kirkpatrick, advised by Robert Butera and Young Hee Chang. Dr. Joshua Marsh, advised by Michael Damron. Dr. Jacob Logas, advised by Shavik Das and Rosa I. Arriaga. Dr. Max DeBeja, advised by Santosh Vempala. Dr. Anton Tran, advised by Carl DiSalvo. Dr. Annabelle Rothschild, advised by Betsy DiSalvo and Carl DiSalvo. Dr. Lee Weatherby Bradley, advised by Levent Degertekin. Dr. Sunju Lee, advised by Gian Gabriel Garcia. Dr. Megan Elizabeth Meredith, advised by Lauren Nicole Steinley. Dr. Onkar Anand Kulkarni, advised by Benva Mantroy and Matthew Dahan. Dr. Jisoo Park, advised by Benoit Montril. Dr. Ruenyan Xu, advised by Patricio Vela. Dr. Alexander H. Chang, advised by Patricio A. Vela. Dr. Shiyu Fang, advised by Patricio Antonio Vela. Dr. Marian Dominguez Miraso, advised by Joshua Weitz. Dr. Jisoo Park, advised by Jay Bolter. Dr. Daniel Frederick Phelps, advised by Jay Bolter.
All right. Will all graduates please rise? So upon the recommendation of the faculty of the Georgia Institute of Technology and by authority of the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia, I now confer upon each of you a doctoral degree with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Please join me in congratulating these impressive new Georgia Tech PhDs. Congratulations. One small request. We ask that the graduates remain standing as the President's Party recesses. Then I invite all of you to join in the singing of the greatest fight song ever, the Rambling Wreck. Graduates should remain in their seat until the conclusion of the fight song. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. A hell of an engineer. Like all the jolly good fellows, I drink my whiskey clear. I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. Well, if I had a daughter, sir, I'd dress her in white and gold and put her on the canvas to cheer the brave and bold. Well, if I had a son, sir, I'd tell you what he'd do. He would yell to hell with Georgia like his daddy used to do. I wish I had a barrel of rum and sugar 3,000 pounds, a college bell to put it in and clapper to stir it round. I drink to all good fellows who come from far and near. I'm a rambling, gambling, hell of an engineer. Hey! I'm